Modern plumbing. Does that work? Oh, did I just oh, okay. I did something wrong. Are we ready now? Shall I begin? Okay. So this is I'm going to be doing a little short lecture here. I'm not actually going to open Blender, but I'm just going to talk about sort of the big picture of everything, and sort of give you a few hints, a few tips on being creative. So first, I want to start by introducing myself. I am Sam Brubaker, and in case you all didn't already know, and I am a rising sophomore at the College of Design at North Carolina State University in Raleigh, and I'm majoring in art and design. So, yeah. Okay. So, first off, I want to. Oh, and I do stuff like this. It's a robot on a pogo stick. Come on. Okay. So, first, I want to talk a little bit about the definition of design. I want to explain first off what design means. What is it? I'll give you a hint. It's not this PowerPoint presentation, but basically everyone that's in this room, if you work with Blender, you are a designer of some sorts. You're making decisions based on the visual appearance of whatever you make, and you're making creative decisions to try and solve something whenever you want to tell a story or communicate something or even just make something cool. So the textbook definition of design is the study of improving the functionality or the aesthetic appearance of pretty much everything. But with respect to Blender, what I want to explore design as is design as as creativity with a purpose, which is basically you're being creative, but it's still what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, design is it's creativity, but it's more than just art. It's sort of the science behind art, and it's everything that has to do with being creative, but that creativity has sort of a further meaning. You're always trying to solve a problem, or sort of through creation, trying to make something that wasn't there before. And Blender is an amazing design tool because 3D modeling and animation enables you visually to create just about whatever you can think of. So it's a fantastic design tool, and considering that it's free, and that not only is it free, but it runs on hardware that like the minimal specifications for running Blender are so much lower than almost any other equivalent software package, that it's so much you get so much more functionality for the price, not just for the price of the software, but for all the resources that that you need to create. So I mean, in theory, you could make an animation like Big Buck Bunny on even older hardware, but obviously there are going to be some extra steps that you'll have to take, but it still works. So first off, I want to talk about design thinking, and that is essentially the philosophy of design. It's the thought process that goes into being creative and solving a problem through creation. So there are 7 steps that go into design thinking, And it's sort of a critical thinking process that starts with the first step, which is define, where you have to define exactly what you're doing and who your audience is and what your ultimate goal is whenever you're creating something. And then there's research, which is just gathering all the information and all the expertise that you can when you're working on a project. Then ideation, which is a really crucial part, is just coming up with ideas. And this is an additive process. When you come up with ideas for design or with Blender, anything goes. So the first step is just coming up with any kind of idea that's relevant, no matter how good or bad it is. You're just getting all the ideas you can. And then when you prototype, you take those ideas and you make sort of preliminary presentations or sketches or anything to communicate those initial ideas, so that you sort of have a brainstorming of ideas flowing. And then you've got the choose step, which is choosing those ideas that you prototyped and then refining all your choices into a single sort of linear thought process. And then when you implement, that seems, that's just only one step, but that's when you actually, create whatever you've chosen to do. And then finally, you learn whatever you've done, and you learn not just after the fact, but you learn, with responses from whoever you've designed for, or whoever you've anyone who sees what you do. And so the important thing is actually, I'm going to take this, I'm going to simplify this a little bit for Blender. So really, when you're working with Blender, you've got 4 steps that I've sort of narrowed everything down to, which is look, sketch, produce, and listen. So the first time, so you don't really do so much research in Blender as you do observation. So you have to go back and you have to look at what things look like, or what you want something to look like. Then you've got then you can sketch those ideas, and you can in order to communicate whatever you have to other people that are in your group. And then there's the production process, obviously. And then finally, you should listen to whatever response anyone else has had, any sort of critique or comments that people might have. And you don't have to agree with what people say, and that what they say might not necessarily be right, but the important thing is listening to everything that people say. So, learning to draw, I cannot stress this enough. If you know how to draw, that can, just being able to put your ideas down on paper is so important. And when you can communicate those ideas, it's just knowing how. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be very good, but just being able to draw. And because it takes so much less time to sketch something out on paper than it does to, make a model in Blender. So and that'll take you miles. Another thing I wanted to talk about is exploring things. When you set up a scene in Blender, the important thing to think about is how everything is set up in the frame. So this is what I showed earlier, and this is a 3D view. And as you can see, there's a little bit of it loosely follows the principles of the rules of thirds, the rule of thirds within the frame. So you've got the points of focus that are along those lines. If you were to divide this frame up into 3 places, the 2 characters lie across those 2 lines that divide the frame, as well as some objects in the background that sort of create depth but don't interfere with the characters. And so if I actually show you what this looks like, outside of the camera view, you can see that everything in here is set up specifically for that camera, and nothing outside of the frame matters. So you have to start considering everything that you do in 3D as essentially it gets compressed and it gets flattened into two-dimensional image no matter what you do. So everything should be approached as if you were going for the final image when you're working. Everything's a means to an end. And another thing I wanted to point out is that everyone everyone always wants to try and do something as realistic or as photorealistic as possible, when really it's it shouldn't be so much an environment that's realistic that you want to create, but an environment that's immersive. So oftentimes, while it's important to understand exactly what a human being looks like or what a tree looks like, sometimes you have to think about what you want a tree to look like or what kind of style you want. So it's not so much style. Realism isn't so much as style and having a specific sort of aesthetic appeal that you have, because the closer that you get to realism, oftentimes that can be more disturbing to your audience. So that's something to think about. Also, going back to the idea of ideation is really important, as ideation involves deliberately different ideas. So a lot of times you have to completely rethink whatever you've done. I made this mistake a lot, is just taking one idea and running with it, when a lot of times you have to deliberately sort of think outside the box. I really hate that phrase, but it's true. So you have to constantly try and be completely different, and force yourself to come up with bizarre ideas, and then try and justify or rationalize those ideas. And a lot of times that's how a lot of even better ideas emerge, from coming up with something that's completely outside of the norm. So in conclusion, I wanted to end with a frame here, because this is probably, you know, the best achievement in Blender, I think. So I wanted to end by saying that the most important thing that I can stress is to be confident in what you can achieve, but to also be confident that no matter what, you can improve, and you can always improve your skill level, and you can always improve even being creative is something you can get better at. So so yeah, any questions about what I talked about? That kind of went a little bit faster than I thought it would. I don't know. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, the two things carry over. You know, have drawing and modeling, and a lot of people think of that as two completely separate things, when really, if you can draw a perfect human figure, you know, with a pencil and paper, that makes modeling it in 3D so much easier. So, you know, a lot of times I encounter, you know, well, I can model, so why should I have to know how to draw? the two, they're not mutually exclusive. Drawing and modeling go together a lot of times. Anyone else?
Could you say a little bit more about,
Mm-hmm.
I know you mentioned the rule of thirds.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may not be familiar with what that is.
Oh, right. Well, there's always, I mean, even you probably just in this frame, you can see some attention paid to the composition at least. So there's always the rule of thirds is the principle that you can divide your frame, especially if it's a, a frame that's with a ratio I think of 16 by 9. Is that what it is? Something like that. So if you divide that into thirds, so you have two lines, you have a line coming down here and a line coming down here, it's visually appealing to have your points of focus lie across either one of those lines. So you can have the, you'll notice that the horizon here, it's sort of, you got a vanishing point that goes this way, as well as, and you'll notice that Big Buck Bunny's eye lies across the line right here. So in the background, of course, you've actually got some vines here that sort of curve this way, and that everything here. I mean, nothing here is arbitrary. Everything there's you can tell that there's attention paid to just this one shot, and everything is arranged just for that shot so that the background doesn't interfere with the character in the foreground, but actually complements it. So